My name is Nick Laidlaw. I'm a holistic exercise and lifestyle coach from Sydney's Northern Beaches. I've created a video platform because I'd love to reach as many people as possible with these simple messages of health. I've also interviewed a host of individuals from our community. In their lives and in their own way, they've all helped to shape me be a better person. So I hope that they inspire you in some way too. Okay, so I'm just about to interview my good friend Kale Brock. Kale's become known over the last few years by self-publishing his own 2 books, predominantly on gut health. And I also know him as a really successful entrepreneur, a very keen surfer, and just a really knowledgeable guy in general, and he's quite inspirational. So I'm going to speak to him about all things related to gut health, living life as an entrepreneur, getting in the surf as much as you can, and just living a life full of purpose. So I hope you enjoy. So Kale, thanks for coming to have a chat with me today.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
How's your tour been going? I've been telling before we interviewed, say that you've been on the Heal Your Gut tour around Australia.
Yes, so we're about to hit up stop 2, which is here in Manly, and no, it's been good. It's not my first attempt at sort of going around and sharing the gut message. Yeah. You know, it's sort of something I've been doing for a long time. It just took me a while to actually get the message into, to find out what I wanted to call it. I think I went through fermented food workshops and all that sort of stuff. And then it sort of landed on that Heal Your Gut message, where we sort of talk about the science that's, being discovered on the microbiome, but now I sort of tie it in with the various approaches of different practitioners around the world and, those core principles of gut health that we've known for a long time. And I try and do it in like a fun way, so it's been going really well. I think now people are pretty used to the gut message, because this is something that I've been talking about. It's that whole merging of science and the alternative health space. Yeah. Whereas previously they've been so separate, for such a long time. It's like science needed proof that, all these things existed and herbs work and all that sort of stuff. Whereas now it's like this common ground. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that, because of the many people, it's like, I think gut health is a big buzzword at the moment, so people will use it when they can, and same kind of thing with like a holistic health practitioner. But out of the many people that call themselves that, you are truly somebody who embodies that holistic message.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, you do, definitely. What do you think it means to be a holistic health practitioner?
I think you look way beyond the typical aspects of health that we're all told to look at. Because you can talk about food all day, but it's one aspect of health. There's, your mental stuff, what are you thinking every single day? Because that has a huge impact on your health and well-being. Do you wake up with purpose? All these different things that come into the whole longevity equation and health equation that often we don't talk about. So I think respecting those, and without having to be an expert in all of those areas, is how you become a holistic sort of practitioner or a holistic sort of person, because that's what we all are. We're all we're all people, right? And I think if we break down that separateness between the listener and the person and the coach or the person who's sharing the message, and realize that we're all human beings, and we all require these same fundamental core needs to actually experience health and wellness, then the faster we're going to move ahead. And that's what I try and do, is try to empower people to actually feel like they can make informed decisions about their health and wellness without having to rely on a practitioner. Or someone who's in the news telling them what to eat. They should be in a position where they can look at food and say, that's going to be good for me right now. Or they can look at an exercise program and say, that's going to be be good for me right now.
Totally. Yeah. Just depending on like what resonates with someone and what actually speaks truly to someone. Yeah. So with all the sea of information that is out there, you can talk about, let's talk about nutrition and movement for 2 things. Like, there is just so much conflicting information. Yeah. And so as somebody who is trying to educate themselves, how would you recommend them to decipher between all of the white noise?
I think it's important to expose yourself to the white noise.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Because, that makes sense.
Yeah, you need to know what's out there. Because if you read everything on raw veganism or whatever, you'd become a raw vegan and say it's the best thing ever. You know, but unless you expose yourself to other ideas and then weigh up those ideas to make an informed decision on your health and wellness and the direction you want to take, then, you know, you're really restricting yourself. So you don't need to be too selective in how you get your health and wellness information. Obviously, you've got to look at who's sharing the information. Are they healthy? Are they getting the results that I want? Because if you're listening to, for instance, a dietitian who's super overweight and telling you to drink Coke Zero instead of regular Coke because you want to cut down your calories, then you've got to question that. You know, so you've got to look at the results they're getting. And you know, that can be with clients, that can be themselves. You've just got to apply some logic to the situation, because too many of us now have that white coat syndrome where we look at, you know, whoever's in a white coat, will believe them. You know, even if they're saying the dumbest thing ever, you know, they could say, walk off a cliff, go and jab yourself with some needles. You know, that's like, okay, we'll do it because they're in a white coat. They've got qualifications, so to speak. But like, you know, often medical advice is not the same as health advice. You know, it's medical advice because they've been trained in a medical system. They haven't been trained in a holistic health system. You know, so you've got to take that into equation, or take that into account. And a lot of people don't. So that's really why I'm super passionate about empowering people to think, you know, and think for themselves about the health decisions they want to make. You know, don't let anybody else tell you what you have to do. You know, it's important to go and seek, you know, coaching when you need it. And I've done that. You know, I've had a lot of amazing coaches, and, you know, we've shared coaches. So, but you have to reach a point. Your goal should be to reach a point where you are in control of your health decisions and you feel confident in making those decisions.
For sure. And how do you go about that if somebody does seek your health, but they've been in the paradigm of the medical health system for a long time and they're very resistant, or just anyone who's listening to you right now and going, this guy's full of shit, you know? Like, how would you kind of, not combat that, but how would you kind of seek people to, or encourage people to think for themselves without just going back to the default of what we've been told for a long time?
I mean, I get it a lot because I'm not qualified as a, you know, I'm not a microbiologist. I'm not a doctor. You know, I'm not any of those things, because I made a decision early on that I wanted to be a journalist, you know, a reporter, someone who reports the ideas and research of hardworking individuals in white coats, you know, who spend their time in the labs finding these things. And I wanted to share, you know, what they found in a message that really resonates with me, and hopefully that would resonate with people. So, I mean, I get it all the time. I mean, just yesterday I was having an argument, not an argument, I was having a discussion with someone. It nearly turned into an argument, but right, this is where I'm going with this. We were having a discussion about, I think, vaccinations or something. And it's an incredibly controversial topic. And what I said was, well, there are actually two sides to the whole story. And that's all I said. And it was like, immediately closed off.
Walls up.
Yep, walls up. You know, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, do you know what you're talking about? And the answer is, what do you mean? You know, but these people haven't, a lot of us don't give ourselves the power of actually researching something. We just trust what's been done and assume that because it's been done for so long, it must be normal and it must be good. You know, so I think not getting drawn into the whole black and white argument thing, you over there, us over here, and really going back towards that, like I said, that humanism, and that we are all humans, you know, and sort of resting with the idea that no matter what people choose to do, it's okay. You know, because we're all in control of our own journey. And that's the biggest thing. You know, we should be in control of our own journey. No one else should make our health decisions for us. You know, and if someone wants to go and consume processed food 100% of the time, go and get McDonald's for breakfast, that is completely okay. They've just got to deal with the consequences of that. And if they're comfortable with that, they've got to take that journey, you know, and that's their own journey. You can't have the good without the bad. You know, you can't have the healthy without the unhealthy. Yeah, it's true. You know, so I look back and I wouldn't know what healthy was unless I experienced that ill health when I was younger.
So that's the next thing I was going to ask you. How did you come to be in the health industry, or become healthy yourself and seek this vitality that you've got right now?
I was 16. I was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia.
Mouthful.
Really, mouthful, long word. Sounds a little bit dangerous, but basically I would experience these arrhythmias in my heart to the point of almost fainting. So I would be surfing, you know, I'm an avid surfer, and I'd be almost fainting out in the ocean, you know, so it's not a good situation to be in. So quite understandably so, I went to the doctor, the cardiologist, and they said, all right, well, let's hook you up to these batteries and we'll have a look at what's going on. So they came back and I had this arrhythmia when I exercised. So they put me on a treadmill and were like measuring my heartbeat, and it just went like boom, 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 crazy at one point, like way up into the 260s or something crazy. I can't remember the exact number. But they said, okay, we know what this is. I said, well, what can we do about it? Because I don't want it anymore. I want to keep surfing. You know, 16-year-olds shouldn't have heart conditions, right?
I want to be shredded.
Yeah. So he said, well, the only thing we can do is actually cut you open and enter your heart and take a little soldering iron sort of thing and burn away a piece of the heart, the sinoatrial node. We're going to burn it away because it's not working properly. And I said, okay, that's not extremely logical. I thought, there's got to be something better we can do. Yeah. I said, what about nutrition? And he said, no, it's got nothing to do with it. I said, okay, it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. So I actually went and sought the advice of a naturopath in Adelaide, where I'm from, and I've actually worked with her for 9 years now. Wow. And she's an incredible person, incredible practitioner, and she was able to teach me in a very short amount of time some basic health principles, and which really rocked the boat. You know, like, Wheat Bix aren't healthy.
Yeah,
what?
That used to wig me out as well.
Yeah. What milk's not? You don't need milk for your bones. Yeah. Like, what? Crazy. So I had to sit back and go, okay, these things sound crazy to me, but let's give them the attention that they seemingly deserve. So I was able to turn that condition around, that supposedly incurable condition, within about 6 months.
Just through nutrition and
through diet, supplementary, and lifestyle changes.
Wow,
you know, so it's incredibly empowering. Yeah. And I've actually worked with a couple of people now with the same condition who have had the same turnarounds. Wow. Like, how amazing is that? So that, for me, although I thought it was like this horrible thing, it put me on this journey of health and wellness. Yeah. And as a natural journalist who wanted to ask more questions and find out what was going on, that led me down that route of research, and really put it together in my own mind, in my own picture, and then that naturally led to sharing the message.
Cool. And so I see you, and you've told me before, like, living with purpose, and you want to be spreading or doing your part for the greater good. You also want to be having fun and surfing along the way. Yeah. Like, that seems to be like a very high purpose for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the happiest when I'm in the water. Yeah. So like, it's never going to go away. Yeah. And that's that's my non-negotiable. In life. It's like, I have to be surfing, and I have to be chasing that next session. Because there would be no point to my attaining health and wellness if I'm not living on purpose. Yeah.
And that's what makes me think as well, because a lot of people, maybe they see you as well, they want to flatten their tummy, or they want to be, they want to resolve their gut issues or anything, or, a number of things like that. But is that enough to actually change your health? Just that wish of aesthetic value, or, digestive ease or anything like that?
Well, that's the thing. You've got to, before even looking at health and wellness, I usually ask people, like, why do you want to get healthy? What's the reason behind this whole health and wellness thing for you? Yeah. It could be lawn bowls, it could be knitting better, it could be being a better dad, it could be being a better mum, it might to be a better surfer. And that's what it was for me. When I was 16, I wasn't thinking about, I'm going to go around Australia and like share this gut message one day. It was just, I need to get back in the water. Yeah. That was it. And that kept me on purpose. And now still, I've just completely wholeheartedly and very happily accepted that I need to be surfing more than anything else. And I want to spend my life doing more of the things that I enjoy than the things I don't enjoy. And if I've got that balance right, then I'm doing fine. No matter, anything can happen. After I've had a good surf, traffic can be shit, like anything can go on, and I just don't care. I'm just as happy as anything.
Sick. I love it. That's inspiring, because, a lot of us feel that we to be successful or to do well, we can't do what we want.
Yeah, exactly. So we're so lucky we live in an age where we've got the internet, and me, I'm a pretty sort of savvy, I suppose, entrepreneurial in a way, that I've automated a lot of my businesses so that I can have time on my side, to do what I love. Yeah,
and that's another thing I want to speak to you about. Like, you are an avid entrepreneur. Since I've known you, you've just had so much shit on the boil, and you're doing these things, but with a sense of really good flow in your life as well. Like, what does it mean for you to be an entrepreneur?
Oh, I mean, it's just part of who I am. I actually posted about this, and I hope you don't mind me swearing, but I said, like, being an entrepreneur is as much about saying, like, fuck you to the convention as it is about doing it for yourself. Because I just saw, I did really well in school. So out of like a 100 university entrance score, I got 98. Yeah. So I was the top of my school, did all that stuff. And then I left school and I was like, they're just shaping me to work 9 till 5, you know, go and work for someone else. Just don't ask about anything, just do what you're told. And I thought, this is not me. You know, I need to create my own path here. And that's really what being an entrepreneur is. You're creating a new path and you're creating it for yourself, you know, and that's what it's about for me. It's not about, I mean, obviously you have to make money to live and stuff, and it's really exciting to like build a business up to 6 figures or 7 figures, you know, and be like, this is like great, you know. And as long as I find that as long as I'm doing it on point, I'm doing it in an area that I align with and I think is ethical, then I'm completely stoked. And you know, the biggest thing that comes out of being an entrepreneur for me is to be in control of my life. You know, to not have to worry about rocking up on time to the workplace and being told what to do and seeing a better way to do things, but you can't do it because, you know, old mate boss Susie doesn't want you to, you know, disrupt the paradigm.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's extremely, I think, daring, and it's extremely exciting to be an entrepreneur, and I could not for myself see any other form of employment at this stage. Yeah. You know.
No, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, can we speak about gut health a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
Can we, what does good health look like to you? We'll start there.
I think good health, it's such a general question, but I think, you know, the biggest thing is walking around with a lot of energy. That's number one.
Is that normal to walk around with a lot of energy?
I think it absolutely is.
Okay.
You know, the human body has been designed or has evolved, whatever you believe in, to certainly have a lot of energy because we need that to experience the human experience thing that we're all here for. Yeah. You know, so I think that's number one. You know, that's the best sign of health that you can. And if you want to get more specific, you know, you got to look at, is your digestion good? You know, what do your poos look like? Yeah. You know, it's one of those questions you have to ask.
Yeah, talk about poo.
yeah. You know, are you going to the toilet and is it a pleasant experience? Yeah. Or are you leaving behind a terrorist attack? You know, it's a good question to ask. And if you can answer it favorably, then you're doing something right. Yeah. And that's not to say that you need to be perfect all the time. We've all come from some space, generally nowadays, we've come from a space of dis-ease. Yeah. So it's a space where we've been a little bit out of balance. Yeah. And I've certainly had that. And when you start getting healthier, you don't just go beep, 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 beep. You go beep, beep, boo. Yeah, beep, 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 boo. You know, it's up and down, and it's a journey. You've got to find out what works for you. Yeah. You know, so I think, you know, having a lot of energy, digesting your food well, sleeping well, and just being balanced emotionally is feeling free from food. So not letting food own you, you know, being able to go a good 6 to 8 hours without food, feeling hungry, but feeling very in control. And functional. Yeah, because a lot of people have this blood sugar swing going on where we're up and down, and when they don't get food, they get hangry, and they get stressed, and you know, their energy levels just drop, you know. And
is that a natural occurrence to have those blood sugar regulation issues,
no,
or is that caused by something?
Well, you've got to be, the idea is you should be fat adapted. Yeah. So that's basically where, rather than putting kindling on the fire every 2 to 3 hours, you're putting big logs on the fire that last for a long time. So that's a state where your body actually can very optimally actually start using your fat reserves as energy. So even you have fat reserves, even though you're like super lean, right? Yeah. So even you have fat reserves though. So your body should be smart enough, or should be in a healthy enough place to actually go to your fat reserves when it doesn't have any dietary sugar coming in.
And efficiently use those as energy.
Yes, yeah. Cool. So your blood sugar should stay quite stable. Because it should stay stable, because your cells need a pretty generous, pretty regular supply of glucose. Yeah. And if you break down fats, you know, triglycerides in the liver and stuff, you can actually convert those to glucose, or you can start to run off ketones. Yeah. Which is that ketogenic diet thing. I've heard. But I think it's quite natural to cycle in and out of a ketogenic diet. Yeah, I don't think, besides the Eskimos, perhaps, you know, most people had some form of sugar and, you know, carbohydrates in the diet, especially seasonally. For sure. So, it's just that whole putting big logs on the fire, you know, feeling in control. If you skip breakfast, or if you forget to have breakfast, you know, you're not like biting at the bit for the next 4 hours, you know.
What are some things that throw our blood sugar balance out of whack?
There's so many different things. I mean, processed food is going to be the biggest one.
Okay, cool.
But then, I mean, your emotions can do it. Because if you're like stressed, your blood sugar will rise, you know, because your body's thinking fight or flight, you know, got to go somewhere, so we've got to have a little bit of sugar to burn. And then there's also the gut bacteria, you know, because they work with your immune system, they work with your inflammation levels very closely, and that will have a direct influence on your blood sugar as well. Yeah. So if you're in an activated state where your immune system's turned on, you'll be burning more sugar, right? And you'll be having like a higher need for sugar because there's that stress in the system, and your gut bacteria can absolutely work with that. Yeah. Sure. And we've heard about now, we're seeing a lot of research with diabetes and whatnot, and the link between gut bacteria there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's been linked to many diseases, hasn't it?
Yeah, huge.
So we'll come back to the blood sugar in a bit. What about the microbiome? Can you talk to me about what is the microbiome? It's another buzzword that's been used lots and lots.
It's heaps. So
heaps of people don't know what it means.
Yeah. It's kind of like the bourgeois term for the bugs which live on and inside of you. And if you put that into perspective, you're only around 10% human and you're actually 90% microbial. So there's recent research to suggest that that's actually between like 10 and 30% human and maybe 90 and 70% microbial. So it's going to be unique for everyone. But the main fact is that we are more bacteria than human. Yeah. You know, so it's this huge thing. You know, previously when Louis Pasteur developed pasteurization, he looked under the scope, he thought they're all bad. Microbes are bad, you know. But what we didn't realize is that we've been living in this symbiotic relationship with them since the dawn of time, you know, and they need us as much as we need them. And it's their population, their diversity, their makeup, which has a huge influence on your health every single day. Yeah. And we couldn't live without them. Yeah. Okay.
And so what are some things that we could do to support our microbiome?
The number one thing that you can do to support your microbiome is to not eat processed food. Okay. Because that's been consistently shown to reduce the diversity and the health of the microbiome. Number two is don't use antibiotics frivolously. Yeah. So obviously if you're in a life-threatening stage of blood poisoning, you'll probably need antibiotics, you know, which is fantastic. If you go into surgery, you'll probably need antibiotics. So they're there for a reason.
Yeah, it's a good thing they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And you know, they're incredible. But the thing is, we've overused them and we've used them very frivolously. We've used them for ear infections, which is the worst thing to do. You know, children get ear infections, they get given antibiotics all the time. Yeah. And even the World Health Organization is saying, no, you should not do this. The British Medical Journal is saying, no, you should not do this. Leave them alone. Right. Okay, and
so what are the effects of antibiotics on the microbiome?
So basically you've got all these wonderful bacteria and you've got a certain population of unhealthy bacteria and you've got a certain population of good bacteria. This is what it should look like. The unhealthy ones are at this level. Or unhealthy, I say that they're not actually unhealthy, they're just potentially harmful if they grow too much in higher numbers, right? So you've got those guys, you've got these guys. Antibiotic comes in and basically wipes it all. Everything, the good guys and the bad guys. Unfortunately, it's the bad guys that grow back first. So a lot of us, and this is me included when I was younger, so many antibiotics. Bad guys up here, good guys down here. Right. And that's where ill health will generally come from because we see inflammation start to develop. We see pathogens being created by these pathogenic bacteria. We see leaky gut start to occur, which is where we have this wonderful fly screen, which allows nutrients into the blood. That gets open too much, these holes and tears in the fly screen. All this junk moves into the bloodstream, so the liver starts to congest, but then we do a liver detox, but then it just gets congested again because we haven't healed the gut. You know, we see all these things start to occur. So antibiotics, like we said, can be life-saving, but often they do a lot more harm than good in less than emergency situations.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And so if someone's listening to this and wondering, like, do I have good gut health or do I have bad gut health? Like, what are some things to look for either? Whatever's easier to.
If you don't know, then you're probably in a at least half decent place.
Okay, cool.
Because if you've never gone, oh my gut, you know, oh my poos look like a terrorist attack, right? If you've never done that, then chances are you might be in a decent place. Cool. Which is good to start from, as opposed to starting from the other end.
And so some signs of bad gut health or bad, you know, digestion is one.
Yeah, digestion is one, sleep is another. Yeah. How you go to the toilet, is it comfortable? How often are you going? Are you going too much or too little? Yeah. What are your energy levels like? because you know, if you're not digesting your food properly, you won't be getting nutrition from your food adequately, so your levels will drop. There's emotion. What are your emotions like? Because our bacteria, our probiotics manufacture a lot of neurotransmitters as well. There's so many things. If you've got, you know, liver stuff going on, that can be from a leaky gut, like I said before, because that filters the blood, right? So if you've got junk moving into the bloodstream, you know, that can be a sign of ill gut health. And, you know, a lot of things are being linked to it now: arthritis, autoimmune disease.
So that's a lot of inflammatory kind of responses. Is that what
anything inflammation, chances are it is relating to the actions of the gut microbes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So if we had to cool our system down or start repairing our gut, what are some actionable items that someone can take hold of like right now? So I guess processed foods being one.
Yeah, cut that out.
Get rid of
Don't eat
processed
them.
foods. Okay, good.
So the
organic food?
Organic food is good because I mean pesticides and insecticides will, I mean they kill microbes basically, you know, especially if you're using one certain company's goods called rhymes with Romsanto maybe. So those are designed to actually kill microbes, you know, so they'll actually do that in your stomach, you know. That's similar with tap water. So tap water is super clean, right? Everybody knows that because we've eradicated waterborne disease. It's completely understandable that they want to clean up the water. The only thing is we've made it so clean, we've used all these really harsh chemicals to do it that they'll actually have an impact on the bugs as well.
It's now dead as well, the water.
It's dead,
well.
yeah.
Okay.
So, you know.
So processed foods, get rid of them?
Yeah, if you can.
Filtered clean water?
Filtered clean water.
Cool.
More vegetables. So this is something that's really important because vegetables seemingly actually feed the gut microbes. So our gut microbes require fuel, right? They require something to live on, and most of that is prebiotics. So like starches, carbohydrates, you know, sugars. We hear about sugar as being like really bad.
Vegetables and stuff
root
like
vegetables, fantastic. We've also got so many like cashews, bananas. We've got apples. You know, fruits are fantastic, and then we've got the vegetables like carrot, beetroot, sweet potato. And you know, depending on how your gut health is and what your inner nutritionist is saying, you know, maybe you do get away with some rice or some gluten-free grains and stuff like that. It's really just providing. Here's the thing: you can talk about it all day, but the key is to actually create an environment where the good guys thrive and the bad guys stay in their healthy numbers. That's the main principle behind it all. That's the main goal. So to do that, generally you can say that you've got to have a lot of vegetables in the diet, you know, a lot of fibers coming through to clean up the system and feed the good bugs, because when they get fed, they'll produce a lot of anti-inflammatory chemicals for the gastrointestinal tract, and you know, everything's going to look good when you have more vegetables. Generally, if you look at any long-lived cultures, and I say this generally because we've got, you know, people in Antarctica, the Alaskans, the Eskimos and stuff, you know, having very high meat-based diets. But generally speaking, there's a lot of fiber in the diet, and that's where the healthy microbiome comes from. If a lot of people can't deal with fiber. That's the funny thing. It's like, well, I thought I was meant to...
everyone's different, right?
Yeah, I thought
there's no set rules.
I thought I was meant to have all this fiber for my gut health, right? What's going on? I can't deal with these cereals and these vegetables and these raw salads and stuff. So that's when someone's probably got severe gut dysfunction, when they don't have enough hydrochloric acid, they don't have enough enzymes in there, which most of the probiotics produce. And that's when they may even have to take another step back and take more of like a GAP style approach, so like gut and psychology syndrome by Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride. Really good sort of starting point where we go back to the broths. You know, we go back to...
So it's really cleansing.
Completely, almost like a natural antibiotic, which takes 12 weeks to work, sort of thing, you know. So we're going back to the broths and just really maybe some steamed veggies, just anything that's really easy on the system, so that we pretty much wipe the slate clean and can start again.
So 12 weeks will do that?
12 weeks, I say 12 weeks because it takes around 120 days for the, that's only 90 days, but you know, you get pretty close. It takes around 120 days for the body to completely renew its blood supply. So athletes have a quicker turnover. So often I find athletes get health results quicker than everybody else because they've got that high blood cell turnover. But that's general 12 weeks. It gives your body some time to adjust.
Cool. Well, that's given, I think, a lot of people a lot of things to work with.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and also about you, what kind of defines for you a living a life with purpose?
I think just how you wake up and live every day. I mean, For
How
me,
do you feel when you wake up every day?
Well, I just feel like there's always something to do, but not in the sense that, oh, I'm busy, I've got to do something. It's like there's always something I'm really excited to do that day. And I think that's the point of everything, I would say. You know, some people might call it love, some people might call it God or flow or whatever, but it's all the same thing for me. You know, it's waking up and feeling excited about something, but living, you know, in that moment as much as possible as well.
For sure.
And for some reason, I would say it's surfing. I'm just quite good at that. You know, just
getting in that flow.
Being really present, because like anything that happens in the future, you can't really control that much anyway. Yeah. You know, and it's only going to happen in the now. You know, if we want to go that esoteric and a bit niche-y. And anything that happened in the past happened in the now. You know, and we're all connected by this sort of energy, and the more we can just fit in that and accept that and become more of an observer of our own life in a way, that's completely living on purpose, you know. And it's so much easier to find flow and find happiness, I think, when you take the stress away. And I completely understand why people are stressed now. You know, this is probably one of the more stressful days of my life, and I don't look that stressed, do I?
No, you don't.
No, super chill, all right, because I've just learned to let go and go with the flow. You know, Paul Chek talks about just flowing with the Tao. Yeah. You know, and it's really that. It's just moving with the Tao. You know, and when you find those things that you're really excited about and you're really passionate about, and you ignore what you're told you have to do with your life, you know, that's where I was going with it before. I completely understand where people get off track now, because we're encouraged to go off track unknowingly. You know, I think we have well-meaning individuals, maybe be it they teachers, be it they politicians, who I don't enjoy all the time.
Very diplomatic.
They tend to throw us off course. Yeah. You know, because we're almost treated like cattle to be farmed. You know, for tax purposes. You know, and that's a big issue that I have with our system at the moment, is that people aren't encouraged to do what they want to do. There's always like, oh, but you should be stressing about this. And you should be stressing about this, you know, when if we actually cover the bases, you know, like food, shelter, safety and family, and I'll throw in their purpose, surfing, then everything's actually okay. Yeah. You know, we've progressed so fast as a human race. Now we've got to have the iPhone, we've got to have the really fast internet, and I'm as guilty as anyone for like using those things and complaining when Netflix doesn't work and, you know, all these things. But the reality is, when we step back and say, what have I got to be grateful for? What is the big thing here for me? What's my most, you know, important thing? And am I actually happy and lucky? Oh yeah, I'm breathing, of course I am. Yeah. You know, that's living a life on purpose. And the more I can do that, the better off I'll be. Yeah. Awesome. And hopefully other people too.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming, giving me your time. You're a busy boy, and I really appreciate your time. If people wanted to find out more about the work you've done, or where to find you, where to get some more inspiration, what would they do? Just go to kalebrock.com. Okay. It's all there? It's all there. Both books? That's it, both books, okay, yeah. Cool. So we've got the gut focus books that are there, and everything else that I'm doing, you know, it's not changing all the time. It's sort of all in that direction, but it's all there. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, good luck, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Nick. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.